Hey y'all, and welcome back to another installment of the Book of Brianna, a podcast. I am your host, Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and I'm so excited to be back with you today for another installment. Y'all, today I want to talk about phobias, right? I want to talk about phobias. And, it wasn't until I started to kind of dig into phobias, dig into fear, that I learned that the two things that I want to talk about are classified as phobia. And so the two topics I want to talk about is the fear of success and the fear of failure. And upon further research, they are classified as phobias. And so before I jump in and tell you about these phobias and ask you if you're struggling with one or two or both of the phobias, I want you to hit the like button. Can y'all please hit the like button? It will help reach more people. It'll let the algorithm know that you are enjoying this content, because if you don't hit the algorithm, my channel is suppressed and the good news and a Christian perspective does not get out. And so please just help me spread the good news of Jesus Christ. Help me spread practical Christianity advice by hitting the like button. Okay. So I was actually thinking about fear of success and fear of failure as I was driving home from church. And the reason why I started to think about it is because I know so many people who are kind of battling between these two things. Even myself, I am having moments of tension where I'm trying to, follow God, and obey him into this unknown territory. And it's like, I don't know. Am I afraid to go into this territory? Or am I afraid that when I go into this territory, I would be successful because it's not anything that I would have chosen for my life? Even though I knew I was going that way, it's not something that I would have chosen. And so it got me to thinking and trying to dissect, what are you really struggling with here? Because it's not necessarily you're struggling with God himself. You're struggling with his word, right? We know that when God issues a command, it is his word that goes forth. So you're not struggling to believe God necessarily. You may be struggling to believe his word, whether it comes in the form of the written word, the logos, whether it comes in the form of a rhema word, prophetic word, whatever the case may be. What I've learned about myself is that in this season, I'm struggling with the word because the word has not fully manifested, right? And sometimes, y'all know I always talk about it, sometimes you have to get to the geographical location in order for this word to take root, right? You have to actually start walking in order for the word or the prophecy or the promise to start unlocking, to start opening up. And, even though I'm walking, even though I am moving in the direction that he is, instructing me to go, there's a little bit of tension. There's a little bit of apprehension. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't want to pretend like I am just this super Christian and I'm just this person who has no struggle and just like, yeah, I'm out here believing. No, there are these moments where my flesh is fighting my spirit. My experiences, my past experiences are fighting my destiny. They're fighting my future because they're reminding me of past situations, right? Even though these past situations have nothing to do with right now, my feelings are triggering them, right, to come up, and what my mind is doing is starting to play tricks on me. We are all struggling in some area, struggling unto perfection, struggling to follow God. And I just want to come here and be honest and say, I got some real struggles too, y'all, and you're not alone. And so as I've started to figure it out, I think I'm kind of in between two opinions here, right? And the Bible said, who report will you believe? And I'm still trying to believe the report of the Lord, but that report looking kind of shaky. You know what I'm saying? And so let's dive on into the differences, the different phobias, the fear of success and the fear of failure. I'm gonna talk about the fear of failure first, because I think that is the one that's more prevalent. That's the one that's more loud, if we can say that. That is the one that's on the surface, right? The fear of failure. No one wants to fail at anything. I've never heard someone wake up and say, I want to fail at life today. I just want to fail. I want to fail in school. I want to fail. No, I've never heard anyone say that, right? People innately want to succeed because we are hardwired to do so. God wired each and every one of us to succeed at something. Whatever he created us to succeed at, right? Before he formed us. Because you know, in Genesis 1, he is speaking to the spirit of the man, and he's creating the spirit of the man in Genesis 1. And it's not until we get to Genesis 2 where he forms the body, right? So the word is in function before it goes into the body, our bodies, right? And so because he created and he crafted us in spirit first, your spirit is hardwired for a certain thing. Now, that's not saying that you're not going to struggle to attain that thing, or, you know, to keep on the journey that God has given you. No, it's just saying that you are hardwired for something. You are predestined to do something, and everything in your life will conspire to get you to the successful end of that thing, whatever the thing is that God has ordained for you to do. And so when I'm thinking about fear of failure, let's talk about it, because it's actually, there is a term for this. It's classified as Atychiphobia. Atychiphobia. So Atychiphobia. Atychiphobia. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And it's defined as an intense fear of failure. It says it may cause you to put off or avoid any activity or scenario that has the potential for an unsuccessful outcome. Someone with this condition may be scared to try new things, take risks, or embrace growth for fear of failure. So it's fascinating that this is defined as a condition. And I was just looking up the definition of what condition means, and condition means the state of something with regard to its appearance. Right? Its appearance. So it may have just appeared. It may not have been something that you always struggled with or grew with. It just appeared, right? Because of some circumstance could have triggered it. Further study of the fear of failure, it's talking about traumatic experiences, which is why a lot of people are struggling, because they may have failed at something in the past. I know I failed at something, a lot of somethings in the past, right? And I don't want that feeling again. And so because we know what failing feels like, because we know what rejection feels like, because we know, you know, the negative impacts of something not working out, it may cause you and I to not move forward because the past is speaking louder than the future, right? And I totally get that. I totally get that. But that is why the Bible starts to talk to us about fear. And, you know, in a previous teaching, it had nothing to do with this podcast, but it is up on my YouTube channel. I think it's the Courage Command. In a previous teaching, I talked about when God is telling you to do something, to be strong and be courageous, embedded in in that word courage or courageous is the word prevail. So God is not only just telling you to be courageous, he's saying, when I tell you to be courageous, I'm issuing a command for you to prevail. I'm issuing a command for you to succeed. You have to go out on my word on what I'm saying. It's not going to always feel like it, but there is a promise, and the promise of stepping out on faith, the promise of stepping out of your comfort zone is success if you do what I tell you to do, right? And so on the one hand, we have people struggling with the fear of failure. I tried that before, it didn't work out, or I tried it in this way and something didn't go as planned and I had to deal with the blowback of it. Therefore, I don't want to put myself in that position again. But the fear of failure steals from you. It steals opportunity. It steals faith. It steals destiny. It steals the things you say you want. Fear of failure is lying to you. And you have to interrogate that. If you find yourself struggling, like, God's telling me to do this, but I may not be successful, you have to interrogate that, right? Just like you may be interrogating God in this moment of, you sure you got me? You're sure is this really gonna work out? You also have to interrogate fear, the fear of failure. You have to interrogate failure. What clues do you have right now, not from the past, but what clues do you have right now that you're gonna fail? What evidence do you have right now that it's not going to work for you? I'm not talking about what other people may have said. I'm not talking about, you know, other people's experiences. What clues do you have that's going to point you to the fact that you're going to fail? which is why you shouldn't just come into agreement with everything people say. One of the things that I hear a lot of people say, and this is based on agreement. These people have been married or not married, and they hear people say like, your first year of marriage is going to be the hardest, or your first 5 years of marriage is going to be your hardest. And while that may be true for them, who said your first 5 years are going to be the hardest? Who said that? But the moment you come into agreement with that, like, oh, yep, I'm expecting the hard life for 5 years, that's what you're going to have. The Bible tells you, you will have what you say. So it is this power of agreement, right? If you are going into something and you're expecting it to fail, it's going to fail. Because you have the power. You have the power to command that outcome. Failure, this is going to fail. And because God is sovereign, and because he's giving you the rightful authority in the earth realm to legislate, he's like, they prophesy failure, they're gonna fail. Go ahead and let it fall. We have no obligation to make it successful, because they have used their will for the opposite outcome, and that was never supposed to be the outcome. Okay, so on the one hand, we have people struggling with the fear of failure, which I heard people say, use it as an acronym as false evidence appearing real, which is why I asked you, what evidence do you have that you're not going to be successful? What evidence? Then we have another camp of people who actually unconsciously struggle with the fear of success. Like, it's so wild, because I know that a lot of people, ain't nobody waking up saying, I want to fail, but also there are other people who are saying, I want to be successful, but what is this going to cost me? Right? The fear of success is classified as Achievemephobia. Achievemephobia. And so it's spelled Achievemephobia. Achievemephobia. And it is an unconscious phobia. Often an individual is unaware that he or she has it. And it says that people suffering from Achievemephobia are not able to handle success. They might go into a spat or self-destructive behavior, such as drinking, drugs, success, and end up losing all that they have achieved. So Achievemephobia. And so this is where people are like, yeah, I want to be successful, with their words, right? Yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, I want this. But then their actions are operating in the opposite, right? Their actions are like, nah, because if you succeed, it's going to separate you further. It may isolate you. It may take a long time for you to succeed, and who wants to pay, with their time? Achievemephobia is like, yo, like, I want to be successful, but at what cost? Like, do I want to risk it all? Is it even worth achieving? Because I already struggle with being who I am on this level. If I succeed more, then I'm going to lose something. I'm going to pay for something. And it's hard. Success is hard. When I tell y'all, it is a humbling thing. And I think I'm pretty successful in my own right. And it is humbling, because success starts to create divisions between people. I once had this friend, a former friend, and nothing was really wrong in the friendship. I mean, nothing was really wrong. And what I've heard is that she kind of ended the friendship because she felt that she had nothing to contribute. And she mentioned to someone like, yo, like, everything Bree touches, it turns to gold. Like, how do you deal with something like that? Like, it causes you to look at yourself and question certain things, and it causes you to feel insecure about your life and what you have going on, but things like that. And she literally terminated the friendship because of my success. And I was like, yo, that's wild to me. It's wild to me, because if you only knew that I really want human connection, if you only knew that I really want solid friends, my success, it means nothing to you. If anything, my success will benefit you. If anything, it should never isolate us. And I've had several encounters with people like, yo, like, even in dating, right? They like, you got all this stuff, you know, what you need a man for. What you mean, what I need a man for? I need a man, I want a man, I'm making room in my life for a man. Like, what? I haven't drunk the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it may mean that I date a little less. Yeah, following God means that, you know, and yeah, it may mean that I have to restructure some things in my life, but don't let this success fool you. I'm still a woman and you still a man. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I think about it. And so even as I've been going up, you know, the ladder in my career and going up the ladder and following God, I'm like, yo, like this success is testy. And I'm not one of those people who say like it's lonely at the top. I don't believe it's lonely at the top. I think that you have to be more selective in the things that you do. I think that once you have more things to lose, you have to think more soberly about, you know, how you present and how you show up. But that's just maturity. That's just maturity, right? And what I've learned is some people don't want to pay the price of maturity. It's easier to stay in an immature state and just say, I'm waiting on God. It's easier to say, oh, I just didn't obey today because I just didn't feel like it. Well, why didn't you feel like it? Because you go to work when you don't feel like it. You scroll on the internet when you don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Like you do so many other things when you don't feel like it, but the thing that you're supposed to do, you're like, I don't feel like it, so I ain't do it. That's kind of self-sabotage, right? And as the definitions gave, that's also a fear of success. That self-sabotage is embedded in the fear of success. Like what would provoke you to tear your house down like that? The house that God is trying to help you build. But you won't he handing you a brick and you won't put the brick down. You know what I'm saying? And so then sometimes people like, I'm praying. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go further. And it's just like, did you obey the last thing that God told you to do? Because he knew in order for you to go further, you were going to have to follow a specific path. If y'all, I've gotten so many prophetic words regarding this situation, about like narrow is the way. You have to walk a particular path. And I don't want to hear it no more. I don't want to hear it no more because I want to walk the wide path. I don't want to walk the narrow path. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's so fascinating because God's like, no, in order for you to get what I have for you, you have to go this way. This way. Like, I'm not about to change this path for you. I'm not about to change these obstacles for you. I wired you a certain way. I wired you to want a certain thing. I wired you for certain levels of greatness. And in order for you to do this thing, you have to go this way. I'm not giving you a shortcut. Right? And I be crying, spitting, and farting. Because I don't want the long way. I want the shortcut. I want to get on the highway. I don't want to take the street. But when we're thinking about success, what if God is taking you the long way in order to prepare you? Think about when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. And I think there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about, you know, God took them a long way because the scenic route, because if they would have faced the giants in the promised land prematurely, then basically they wouldn't have been prepared. They would have been fearful. So what is God saying? In my mercy, because I want you to walk into this promised land so bad, I'm going to take you a longer route, because I know that if you come against what's already in that land prematurely and you're not ready, you're going to forfeit it. And then you're going to stagnate not only your life, but the generations after you. So I'm going to take you the long way. Y'all, I've had the long way more times than not. Okay? And this delayed gratification lifestyle is ghetto and I don't want it. But it has taught me so much, right? And now that I am on the other side of seasons of training, on the other side of seasons of suffering, there is a fear that's rising up. Like, you've been in that holding pattern for so long. Now you're no longer holding and you have the green light. You kind of scared to step into the promised land. You're nervous to step into the promised land. Just like when God was talking to Joshua, when he's like, yo, I'm about to send you and these people into the promised land. I know y'all been wandering in the wilderness for so long. I'm about to send y'all in. But I need you to be courageous, because you've been in the wilderness for so long. This has become your normal. Now you're about to step into success. You're going to need courage to step into success. And I'm like, that's so true. When something has become your normal and you've, adjusted and morphed and changed and did all the things to accommodate it, when it's time to go out, when it's time to shift, you need courage. You need courage, because fear is going to say, no. We know how this land works. We know how this thing works, right? So why would you go ahead and move out, even though you hate this land, even though you hate the in-between, even though you hate your present moment? Why would you move forward? Because you know how to exist right here. We know what's going to happen here. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so rather than us having courage to say, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I want to find out, we may sabotage, right? Fear of success. Or we may not do anything and this is a fear of failure. I'd rather stay here where it's comfortable, where I know that, the layout of the land, I know what to expect, rather than fail in the future, rather than get into that and succeed, because I don't know what it's going to require of me. And I kind of find myself in a similar situation between two opinions, and that's not good, because that's double-mindedness, right? A double-minded man, y'all know the scripture, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? And so I'm having to call in my emotions, interrogate my feelings, interrogate, why are you struggling with this, Brianna? The truth, not anything else. Why are you struggling? Is it because now you're being charged to take God at his word? Now that he's taking away the stability, the false foundations, and now he's saying, you're going to have to build on me. You're going to have to build the firm foundation on me. Are you struggling with that now? Now you're walking up Mount Moriah just as Abraham did, to sacrifice his only son. And now you know what sacrifice is going to require of you. Is that what it is? What is it? And it is when we have these moments of interrogating that the Holy Spirit starts to come into our lives as our counselor and say, this is the issue. This is the issue. Here is the root right here. This is where this fear of whether success or failure, this is where it came in. We have to deal with the root and not the symptom. Let's do the work here. Right? And I know so many other people who are in that moment, in that space right now too. And this is encouragement to do the work. I don't know the outcome for you. I don't know what awaits you. I don't know what wonderfulness may await you. I don't know what trials and struggles may await you. I don't know. But I do know that God has spoken something to you. God has issued a command of you. And wouldn't it be a shame to let fear, an invisible thing, a thing that really just wants to steal from you, wouldn't it be a shame to let fear steal your future? Wouldn't that be a shame? Fear stealing from you, because it has come to steal. It has come to steal. It has come to steal. It has come, just like the enemy, it has come to kill your dreams, your hopes, your desires. Fear. Something that is invisible, but is not necessarily real. It's an emotion that's triggered by something else. It's a spirit, as a matter of fact. The Bible says that God didn't give us a spirit of fear. It's a spirit. It's a spirit. And just like all the other spirits that people, talk about, lust, pride, it's a spirit. And it's come to have make its way perfect in your life. And the way that you cancel the assignment of fear, And the way that you walk out of fear, the way that you defeat it and, you know, continue to move even in spite of it, I would say, is to do it one step at a time, one decision at a time. It's never going to be a convenient time for you to follow God. Never. Trust me. Let me be the first to tell you. It's never going to be convenient. Something is always going to be competing for your time, whether it's your family, your career, your health, whatever the case may be. Something is always going to be competing for that number one spot. And so it's never going to be a convenient time. So that means that you have to make the decision to do it in spite of. Just like you may go to work from 9 to 5, your time with God or your following God, whatever he's telling you to do, may have to be your 5 to 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's sacrifice. This stuff is built on sacrifice. Like, what are you willing to give up? And with our mouths, we'll say, I'll give you everything. I'll do anything. And when God comes for that declaration from you, you're gonna have to be prepared to give it everything, because your mouth said everything. That's why I stopped singing that song, that ocean song, lead me where my trust is without borders, let me walk upon the water. I don't want that. I don't want that song no more. I remember when I turned 33 last year, I came up into 33, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be my Jesus year. Yeah. It has definitely been my Jesus year. Yeah. It sounded good. You know what I'm saying? It sounded amazing. Like, oh, it sounds super spiritual. This gonna be your Jesus year. This gonna be your water walking year. Until you get the command to walk on water, Peter. Until you get that command. And then you notice everything else around you and you start to sink, right? I know we like to romanticize these stories in the Bible, but some of them ain't romantic at all. Some of them are scary than a mug, and I'm like, I would not want to be them. I would not. And so what is your fear stealing from you? Whether it's your fear of success or your fear of failure, what is it stealing from you? Your joy, your hope, your peace, your destiny, your future, your family? What is it stealing? I challenge you to interrogate it and to overcome it. You know what I'm saying? And as the Bible tells us, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Go find other people's testimony who may have done what you are going through and made it through. Don't listen to people who've never done that and they're just negative and pessimistic. You overcome first by the blood of the Lamb and then the word of our testimony. Who are you listening to? Listen to the testimonies of believers who have done what it is you're struggling to do. But first, know that you are already guaranteed success and progress because of the blood of the Lamb, because of the sacrificial decision of Jesus. So step 1 was already done for you. Now it's time for you to do step 2. Okay? So I hope this has encouraged you to move forward. As if this has encouraged you, please, if you haven't already, liked the video, share this with a friend who may benefit from a message like this, and also leave me a comment in the comment box. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this has empowered you. And as always, stay blessed, stay up, and continue moving forward. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.